Resentments, and you can too, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to The Covered Dish, the show where we cook it up and eat it.
Girl, you're looking fierce tonight.
Thank you. I had to ward myself. You know when I'm dressing like in monotone colors. Remember a couple months ago when you gave me a challenge that was monochrome?
Yes, yes.
I'm a late bloomer, but you know when I dress all in one color, especially all in lavender, my color, that I'm trying to ward my aura against all of this negativity. Resentment has entered the chat. Are you feeling it, girl?
Yes.
I've been
I
feeling
love it.
lately.
It's like if anyone else tried it, they look like a transsexual grimace, but you actually look graceful.
I mean, I still look like a Muppet, but I'm okay with that. I'm leaning into my
like
30s. Yeah.
If I were all purple, they'd be like, "Man, you have to leave. You have to go. Like, you can't. You can't stay at this. You can't stay at this CVS, ma'am. Like, you're not welcome."
Yeah.
Like, I'm filling a prescription. Like, no, you have to go.
No, a prescription for we don't believe you. You know what? Some people dress their age by getting a sensible haircut, and some people dress in all one color. And I decided to do both.
Girl, you know, I had a moment this past weekend. I was in Miami at dinner, and I was like, wow, I just don't ever plan on dressing my age. Like, I was in a pleather miniskirt on a Sunday night, and I was like, what a great choice this was. Why didn't I think of this sooner? Every time I wore something that I don't think I should be wearing in my 30s, I remember it's because I couldn't, like, I didn't know about it in my 20s. I was like, no. This is great.
Well, you know, and this is not to shame anyone out there who has children because, you know, all of us find ourselves in different journeys. But girl, we could have 4 kids in our 30s, or we could be doing this. You know what I mean?
Or we could be having a pleather miniskirt on a Sunday night.
I'm anti-MAME at 32, and you know it's going to get worse from here.
Yes, we love to see it. Happy Resentment Day, Queen. Love you.
Happy Resentments, clink. Somewhat counterintuitive cheers, but you know. So this is not us trying to be shady. It's just like, I think there's some confluence in the skies. Like, something in Taurus is square, something in Scorpio, and they're just like button heads. You know what I mean? There's an energy. Are you feeling the crackle?
I'm feeling it, and I love that you brought up Taurus because they're my least favorite sign anyway.
Oh my god, they're my favorite sign.
What?
Well, Monty's a Taurus. My sister's I have so many Tauruses in my life. Discuss.
Oh, girl, you know what? I have so many Pisces in my life.
Look at the material.
Yeah, no. I'm literally surrounded by fish.
Yeah.
I
the koi pond.
Them. Every time I think I find one, I'm like, God damn it! When's your birthday?
We're all born in March.
Crazy. I didn't know Monty was a Taurus. Man, you think you know someone?
Yeah, he is. But I love a Taurus though because I'm very otherworldly. Like, I'm kind of an escapist. I'm kind of lost in my own world, and Monty really like grounds me and centers me. Like, he brings me back to the material world, and I'm a material girl. So
I love that. I'm here for that.
I just, you know, I think I'm a somewhat sensible person, but it is through lots of practice and intention, and also journaling, aggressive journaling.
And also bourbon. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking bourbon. I'm drinking a Maker's Manhattan. Going back to the classics.
Oh, that is a classic. I am breaking news, drinking Pinot Noir.
Shocked. Show of hands. Audience?
Survey says yes. Survey says every time. Every time. And they're just, well, the girl, I have an actual dish. We're going back to our roots. Exciting.
I know. How long has it been since we actually had a dish and didn't just make a cocktail?
We've been busy.
We've been self-actualizing. Yeah.
We are career girls, and we don't have time to cook for you all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Work hard. And I like the subtle, like, we don't have time to cook for you all the time. And then, like,
we don't have time to cook for you all the time.
Too busy working on our fitness, Fergie.
Girl, so pull up that dish cam. Give the audience a little view of my red curry stew.
Dish that cam and cam that dish.
Yes.
There she is. Gorgeous.
Oh, she's a beaut.
I love like a curled red onion. Like
so these
part
are
of the dish, but also part like kind of a garnish. Like, it just is such a melody of colors going on here.
And you really need it. So I pickled these onions in a lime from our lime tree and sea salt. And then I put some fresh cilantro in there. And I know cilantro is a real, I know how people feel about it emotionally. Let me just top this off
Cilantro is great. Are there people who don't like cilantro?
Oh yeah, there's like a whole comment if you're one of the people who thinks it tastes like soap. There's like a gene where certain people it tastes like soap to them.
It's not like a broccoli thing. I don't know about all that. I love cilantro. That is gorgeous. Oh,
so
I don't know if those colors are
autumnal.
Yeah, I don't know if those colors are as bright for you at home as they are on this little setup, but that is vibrant.
It is. It's super beautiful. And if you eat dairy, a dollop of Greek yogurt or goat cheese on this. Delicious.
Will get you exactly where you need to go.
The reason it's a 3 out of 5 for difficult is not only the prep, but getting the ratio. So the broth, right? I don't like wet things. I don't like a lot of wetness. The word is unctuous. I don't like a lot of unctuous.
Unctuous.
So I use less. I use like tomato paste and red curry, but you could add like tomato sauce to get a little more wetness and add some extra veggie broth. But here's the key with the broth. Whatever you do, make sure you disappeared.
Oh, we're coming back. There we go.
Make sure you do some sweetness. So some coconut sugar or some maple syrup or something to offset because it's high acid. It's all the tomatoes. And then I put carrots, sweet potatoes, and chickpeas, but you could do any legume. Treat yourself.
Oh, yeah. Cheers, girl. That looks gorgeous. I love cutting the umami of like a fish with some citrus. It's all about balancing flavor. Because if you have too much of one thing, if things are like, oh, beautiful. If you have too much like fattiness, it gets kind of like oppressive and you're like, oh, it's too much. You know what I mean? So you gotta make a blend of the.
And I could eat these pickled onions. It is. And too much acid can really ruin a soup. Controversial, but true.
Controversial yet brave on this program. I do like unctuous things. I like, but I'm from the Midwest, like Ohio, Upper Michigan, and Illinois. So like, I like all the ranch. Give me all the like tinctures and salves and potions and unguents. You know what I mean? Like I want all of that
if
saucy
you did this
goodness.
A little more, if you did this a little less like a stew and with a little more broth, and you could still do it now over rice, over cauliflower rice, over an ancient grain, which is typically how I would have it. If I was like having it for dinner, I'd put it on top of some cauliflower rice with some puffed farro. Delicious.
Oh, yum. So I wanted to ask you, what's the difference between red curry and red curry stew? Is it a texture thing? Is it a preparation thing?
So this is pretty much red curry paste and tomato paste veggie broth. Some spices, some turmeric. I threw in a bunch of turmeric just to kind of get that herbal root.
Turmeric's good for the tum-tum, too.
It is. And I didn't add any ginger this time, but I would next time. But it's not stewish. You kind of saw how dry it is. Like it's, you know what I mean? It's not dry. It's super nice, but it's not like I eat it with a fork, not a spoon, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. So there's enough of there's a little bit of a chunk to it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a chunky stew. But I always.
Stew it's so soothing and so hearty. It makes me think about like coming in out of a cold day. And and
it was cold here today. It was 78, so it was chilly.
Oh, how rough for you. Meanwhile, up here it's like 24 resentment.
All right, get the dish cam off. I don't need to be on that for this.
All right,
girl, is it really that cold? Because I'm coming up to Columbus next week and I don't want to die.
Well, I mean, hey, let's roll the dice because you know how Ohio is. It's like one day, I keep thinking it's going to get back up to 60 degrees. And you know what's funny? Today, the building I work in was like 58 degrees. And then I went over to the other building where the main IT office is. And it was like 58 degrees. It was crazy.
Girl, 58.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. Our building is 58. That building was like 82. So it's like, I don't know what to do anymore. It's like hot tub pool. You know what I mean? Like pick one. Pick a lane.
Terrible. Terrible. I feel like every time I come to Columbus, it's a cold snap.
It's just, I mean, yay, global warming. It's just it's a crapshoot. You never know which Ohio you're going to get. So maybe pack some layers. I don't know.
Have some layers. These are layers. I'm in a bralette and a tank top. Does this count?
Ooh, I'm in a bralette and another slightly different sized bralette. Meanwhile, I'm in a full coverage.
Fashion.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm in a full coverage Sarah Plain and Tall mock neck gown.
Stand up. It's a gown. Stand up, girl.
It is a gown with my Sarah Coventry costume jewelry set, which, by the way, you could only get if you hosted a Sarah Coventry costume jewelry party. Like the Mary Kay parties.
Shut up. That's a thing?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't host a party. I got this on Etsy. But, you know. So, this is a lilac... oh my god, this strapless bra, my titties are sagging far too soon. It is slipping down. Okay,
girl,
so anyway.
First of all, the only way a strapless bra works is if it's tight enough to cut off circulation to a part of your body.
I mean, I can't breathe, but you know, like I like work my little double A's, like this is just slipping down.
I love that belt, the cinch.
Yeah, it's the only cinch you have. So if you undid this, and it doesn't go all the way around to the back, it stops at the side seam. But yeah, if you didn't have this, it would be a much different silhouette. It would be much more of like a who's that Spectre on the Widow's Walk? You know what I mean? It's very that. So yeah,
I love the sleeves.
Diaphanous.
I love the sleeves.
Thank you. Single button cuff. And we started a little late tonight because it has 2 rouleau buttons above the back zipper, and that's where the brooch chain, the pendant chain hooks on the back rouleau button, and I couldn't get it fastened. So you know, some of us do struggle, Brooke.
Oh, you know what? We've all been there. If I had a nickel for every time my brooch chain didn't go on my
rouleau button.
My rouleau button, yes. I actually think I have that on a pillow embroidered.
Oh, just rouleau button.
We've all been there, girl.
In a long hand, and some nice script.
You know, I played Eliza in high school.
Oh, girl, you need to get together and watch The Birdcage again.
We do. Also, by the way, anyone who's watching this any point, anytime in the next coming weeks, go do yourself a favor and watch The Birdcage. Like, do it for you. Do it for me. Do it for everything in your life and everyone you love. Because Nathan Lane and Robin Williams in that movie have like the best chemistry. They have the best chemistry.
It's one of Nathan Lane's, if not his best performance. So what you need to do is you need to treat yourself by wheeling the television into the bathroom. Drop in a nice, aromatic bath bomb. Get yourself real horny and just put on The Birdcage. It's a great thing to do to yourself.
Leave room for coffee.
Leave room for coffee. Oh.
Girl, so funny. Oh, you disappeared again.
Oh! This webcam.
Oh! All right. So we are here to talk and dish on resentments.
Oh, just very light topic. Very, very, but very relatable, I feel like.
Yeah, especially because we're in the holidays and I feel like when you're home, you're still not here. Sad. Where'd you go? Eileen, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see you now too. Wins.
Okay, yay.
I just feel like, this time of year with everything, even outside of family, like it's just whack-a-mole on your emotions.
Yeah.
And there's so much resentments that just like pop up. And there's so many things that like you need to manage.
Pop up and pop off.
Yes.
Let's talk about how irresponsible it is to hold on to resentments just for your health and everyone else's. Let's talk about like the physiological responses to stress, the negative impacts on relationships around you, but how hard it is to let go of them. You know, why is it so hard to let go of them? I read once that like forgiveness is a gift that costs you nothing. And yet it's so difficult to give. Like, why is that?
Yeah, but it's the homework of it all. Like, it is so much easier to carry than because you don't even realize. It's like, when you're leaving for a long trip, there's going to be an airport metaphor, girl. It always is with me, right? And you're like, oh, I'm going to put this in my carry-on. I'm going to put this in my carry-on.
Sorry,
George. When I get to the airport. Yes. And you get to the airport, you have a carry-on and it's sensible, but then you buy snacks. And then, oh my gosh, so-and-so has some shoes that don't fit in her bag and they weigh too much. So can you put them in yours? And it just adds up. And all of a sudden you get off a plane, especially if you have a layover and you're like, my bag weighs 47 more pounds. But you say to yourself,
hey,
instead
you
of
still have 3
stopping,
pounds to go.
Right. But instead of stopping and like sorting through it in the airport, like, I'll just wait till I get to wherever I'm going. And I think that's what happens with resentments, but we don't realize it's a fucking journey, right? So it's like you don't even realize what you're carrying. And
Yeah.
we're such hermit crabs, right? We fill the shell we're given. So we just fill it, and it's all the resentments, and then we grow a little bit, and then we just fill it with more.
Yeah. Well, to carry that metaphor even farther, it's easier to just continue on to your next destination rather than stop and unpack the bag and look through all of that stuff. Partly because unpacking it's difficult, right? It's painful. It causes you to examine your own insecurities.
You're in Logan International. You don't know what to do with yourself.
Yeah.
Everyone's day drunk. It's an airport. Right. All of those things, right? So are you going to stop?
By the way, and you're gonna definitely be laid over for 8 hours,
Yeah, and you have to stop with your travel companion. So that's the other piece of the work, right? It's your personal work, but if it's around personal relationships, I've had to pause relationships with family and friends before because I'm like, I need to work through this.
Yeah.
This isn't your work to do, but you will hold me back from this work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that didn't go great.
And that's, I pause there because when you realize that it's not just because of your own efforts, it's part of the conditional participation of somebody else.
Yes.
How do you work through resentment if you're like, well, I'm working on this, but the other person isn't? You know what I mean? And that's not always a fair characterization. Sometimes you don't see the kind of work that someone else is doing. They may be doing it, but it's not visible to you. But it really takes both the resented and the resenter. It takes both to work through that and to really make progress.
But you've really taught me a lot about that. I mean, I was really, it's interesting. Tell me more.
Tell me more.
You came into my life in the beginning of law school, and I think law school, right, in combination, which kind of helps you navigate conflict and be more confident in navigating conflict. Your communication style is so direct. I had never lived with someone. I've lived with women, like in relationships. I had never lived with someone that was so direct when something went wrong.
Mm.
And it was not mean, it was not whatever, but I think it prevented resentments. And I took that on to my next relationships, even my roommate relationships. Shout out Maria Bruno, former roommate, Deputy Director of Equality Ohio. We love to see it, girl. You look good.
Hey, Maria.
Yo. But there was, okay, so Maria, I'm going to just call her out. And by the way, this is my type. So this is such a good example of this resentment. Okay, so Maria cannot see all of her eyeballs, do not see the thing. You know how we say we don't see color? That's real. You know what I mean? But she actually doesn't see color. No, so she has some partial blindness and partial deafness, right? Mm-hmm. So I knew this moving in when she moved in. But I'm like getting ready for work in the morning and there's coffee grounds like all over the fucking counter. And I am in the bathroom and there's like Q-tips all over the floor. And I like confront her. I'm like, look, I like a clean house. I can't deal with these kind of things. Like I need a clean counter. I need a clean. She's like, Brooke, I can't see it. The counter was dark. The coffee grounds were dark. And then the bathroom floor, white. And she didn't see the Q-tips. Yeah. And it was just this like, and again, it was hilarious. And of course, like she was like, I think the next day she like left a mound of coffee on the counter just to be like, you know what I mean? But like,
what are you gonna find next?
Yes. But it was just this like, it was such a good metaphor for like, oh right, like you never know what people are working on. You never know where they're coming from. And like, I didn't think about the color contrast of the coffee colored countertop.
Yeah.
With some leftover coffee ground.
Well, Brooke, just kill people on red sheets and then she'll never know.
Exactly. Just bodies strewn about our house.
Yeah, the lesson I took.
Shout out Clifton Avenue.
Bodies. Well, Brooke, I learned that lesson the hard way. My friend Charlotte, shout out to Charlotte, just got married. Monty and I were at her wedding. It was gorgeous.
Oh, is that the one in Hotlanta?
Yes, in Hotlanta.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So she and I lived together in college, and she and I had a little spat about the dishes. And
no!
But I didn't tell her that I was upset about the dishes. This is like when I was like 19 and 20, right? I didn't tell her that I was upset about the dishes. I just waited to see how high the pile of dishes could get.
No, so you did a resentment sandwich. We love it.
Wait, put a pin in that. I want to hear more about resentment sandwich. But basically, like, I expected her to be a mind reader. And that's a common mistake with resentment, right? you think someone else knows what's going on in your mind because you know what's going on in your mind. She didn't know. So, of course, I let it build up. I let the resentment build up like a pressure cooker for 6 months. And then we exploded and we fought about it. And then I didn't talk to her for like 3 or 4 months after that. Like, it was just very intense, unnecessary drama.
Oh, wow. No, dishes are like a big thing in relationships. Like, roommate, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I ruined your cutting board.
Oh my God, the cutting board.
I ruined your cutting board, but then you talked to me about it directly. We had a direct conversation about it. I probably should have bought you a replacement cutting board, and I didn't. So I'm sorry about that. But you know what?
All in different financial situations. I don't think I would have required that. Now maybe, you know what I mean? You'd be like, girl, replace that shit.
Where's that cutting board, though?
Well, that cutting board, waiting for it in the mail, girl. Christmas is coming.
Checks honestly, in the mail. I'm like, you know what's not in the mail? That cutting board you ruined.
You know what? On like my 80th birthday, you should send me a cutting board. Like just to really stick it.
Yeah.
No, I you know, my ex called resentment kittens. And I liked that because they are erratic. Like, you know, have you ever seen a kitten, like, they're just kind of like, so weird.
Stumbling over, not knocking shit. Yeah.
Exactly, because that's the thing. You never know how they're going to come out, and they're going to come out sideways. Like, if I hold it in on a friendship and a friend calls me and I'm just like, well, fuck you. I don't have the capacity. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just don't have the energy to expend the energy to have the conversation.
Right.
Then we're in a situation where my behavior appears erratic or irrational, right? And that's where it gets kind of like, it's like a cat, just kind of like pushing things off a table.
Yeah, pushing the glass of water closer to the edge of the table.
Right. So yeah. So what is like one silly resentment you can't let go of? Like silly ability.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well I don't know if this is silly, but like I can't let go of the signs that are like a year after Trump lost the election that are like, don't blame me, I voted for Trump. I'm like, see, this is the problem, is that we're never going to move past this if like you're like, don't blame me, and I'm also like, don't blame me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I guess I'll come up with an actual silly example. I feel like one of the lessons of that with our time is like just radical empathy. I don't like the word radical, but I feel like it actually applies in this case, where it's like you might not disagree and you actually might feel like their deeply held beliefs are harmful, but if you don't take a step beyond that and try to understand their point of view,
right.
Like you can try to empathize with someone without agreeing with them. And that is a really, really difficult exercise. So that's what I'm trying to manifest with resentment. And then an actual silly example is I realized that the example I always use when I talk about, you know, I've been with Monty over 10 years. And sometimes people are like, oh, how is that going? 10 years is a long time. And I'm like, yeah, it is a long time, but we're fine. Like, you know, we don't fight about big things. We just fight about little things. And then they're like, oh, like what kinds of little things? And I'm like, oh, well, you know, he doesn't like the way I load the dishwasher. And I realized I've been using that example for like 6 years. Because I am actually resentful about the way that he judges how I load the dishwasher. I try to put a bowl on the top rack, and he's like, is that where you think that goes? Also, if he's watching, I'm so sorry about this. Boop.
Okay, so this is hilarious. So this will be my silly resentment example. So this is the kind of shit they always say when you break up or divorce, that you like discover the real gift of that moment of self-discovery is just kind of discovering the things you already knew about yourself, but you're revisiting, right? And you start dating someone who hikes, and you're like, oh, I could get into hiking, right? And you start getting into hiking. Then you divorce 10 years later, and you're like, did I fucking like hiking?
Did I ever like hiking?
Right. So, and it's a normal phenomenon, right? Esther Perel writes about it in her book, Mating in Captivity, which is a fabulous book if you ever want to...
Oh, I love that title.
Try to be in a relationship, poly or monogamous or non-monogamous, whatever. It's great read.
Try to be in a relationship, full stop.
Just period. Yeah, Godspeed and good luck. So, when my parents got divorced after over 20 years, my mom did two things that just like made her day. And one of them is fucking load the dishwasher however she wants. And it is chaotic neutral. It is insane in that dishwasher.
Girl, we
Because
love
my
a D&D
dad-
reference.
My dad is like, I mean, just say he was never in the military. He may have been kidnapped in like a Mandela effect side universe and been in the military, and it is like passed on through the other dimension.
We also
A lot
love
of
a
nerd
Mandela
references.
effect reference, by the way.
Yes. Because like his way of loading the dishwasher is militant, to the point where it's glasses on the outside of the top and then plastic ones on the inside, and the glass ones don't get hooked on anything, and the plastic ones do. Like I know, like Monty is
so
probably
intense.
turned on if he's watching. So
I mean, he will be.
Like,
He will be at some future time.
he'll
So
be like, "Tell me more about this."
Yeah.
So
his ears are burning right now. I'm sure of it.
when they got divorced, my mom like put knives on the top thing. Like she was just like, "Meh," like she was like, she just, you know what I mean? It was just, it's truly chaos. And then the other one is my mom had this newspaper holder, which was just like a wire rack newspaper holder
Okay.
that goes on the floor, almost like a magazine holder, but you
Oh.
put the newspapers flat.
Yes, yeah, my parents have one of those. It's like it's what you put your magazines in when you want to read them when you're on the toilet, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But instead of to the side, you just lay them flat. But it's to gather them over the month and then you recycle them.
Got it.
My mom put it on the basement landing, and my dad's job in the house was laundry. So he'd come upstairs with laundry, and the landing was so small
Yeah.
that he'd get his foot caught in the wire newspaper holder.
Oh my god.
And he'd be like, "Motherfucker!" like yelling.
Full A Christmas Story, like ration for
Oh,
ration.
yes. And the basement door is closed, and it's just, oh my God.
Yeah.
So my mom, besides sometimes having the AC and the windows open in a car, does whatever she wants with the dishwasher. And my dad like refuses to get a newspaper holder so much. So my sister and I are like, we need to send him one. Because like he was so mad, but my mom loves it. She's like, it's so convenient. I'm like, that's fine that it's so convenient, but it's not convenient on a staircase.
Like, why did she put it there? Did she have a reason?
Just want it out of the way.
Oh, just out of the way. Out of the way for
I mean,
her.
they're divorced, so I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say that sometimes there's like those little things that you do that you think consciously you're just doing because that makes sense to you, but subconsciously, oh, it's called passive aggression. I just realized there's a word for this, dear viewers. Like, I'm not making this up for the first time. Did I invent
White
passive
people know nothing
aggression?
about that. No, I've never heard of that.
I don't think they know. And I think they need to, Brooke. Oh.
Oh, girl. This was a fabulous episode of The Dish. I feel like,
It was.
considering how depressing the topic could be, we kept it very light. We'd love to hear from you listeners. Message us on the gram. Let us know what you want us to talk about. Follow us on Instagram at Covered Dish. Check us out on Facebook. Like our YouTube and subscribe. What did I miss? Girl.
I think you covered all of it, frankly, in its various shades and colors and all.
I'm going to sensually eat this pickled onion, as Eileen calls it out.
Sensually. Ooh, that's no pressure at all. Like, Brooke is doing a sensual thing, and I have to accompany that. But let me just say, dear viewers, that healing is a two-way street. Remember that others are not mind readers. And jealousy is a disease, so get well soon, bitch. Bye. See you next Tuesday.